What's going on, and welcome to the Lunchtime Livestream. It's a different kind of Lunchtime Livestream. I'm John Kelly, the Minister of Engagement here at Catalyst. But today, we're not going to be doing really a Bible study kind of thing today. Today, what I want to do is we are going to celebrate our youth minister, Rob Harlamert. We are going to be kind of losing him after this week, only in the fact that he won't be here. But he is planting a brand new church called Elevate that is going to be starting up this fall. And so we're super excited for everything that Rob is doing. And to celebrate this week, we're going to be having a potluck right after church on Sunday morning. And just want everybody to bring your favorite covered dish and or dessert. I prefer the and because I like a lot of covered dishes, but also like a lot of desserts. But just to say thank you to Rob and Kaylee for everything they do. A lot of times we just talk about the minister and we don't always talk about their wife, but many times in ministry, the wife has to make as many, if not sometimes more sacrifices than the husband. And so we definitely want to be able to say thank you to both of them for all the hard work they've put in here at Catalyst. And all of this Sunday's offering is going to go toward Elevate Christian Church. So if you ever had a week where you're just like, I think I need to give more, make that this week. Let's really bless Elevate and give them a nice pool of money to take with them to help them get things started at the new church. If you want to find out more about what's going on at Catalyst, you can go over to catalystchristian.net and go to the main thing tab at the top of the page. Each week that's updated with that week's bulletin, the sermon in audio and video form, and it just gives you the ability to know what's happening in the church. And it's also got our small group questions in there as well. So if you're interested in finding out anything that's going on with Catalyst, that's the place to do it. So now without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Rob Harlamert. How are you, man?
Hello. How you doing?
I don't know if I could do a whole lot better, if I'm just being honest with you. I don't know if I could do a whole lot better. Oh, you got somebody coming in the back door
busted through the door.
Well, he could say hi. It's okay. Oh, it's okay. I'm going to throw something into the comments for everybody. If you'd like to come on at any point during this live stream and say hi and say something to Rob, you can do that by clicking on the link I just put on YouTube and Facebook. It didn't post on Catalyst Life. So if you want to go over to the Catalyst Christian Church Facebook page, channel, whatever you want to call it, there's a link there in the comments. So if you just want to get on here with us and just chat and talk for a little bit, you can do that. But today's pretty much just going to be about you, Rob. I hope you don't get a big head over this.
I don't think that's the case.
Well, I do want to give a plug though before we get going too far with this.
Yeah.
Today, you and I got to go check out a little coffee place. Manos Coffee. I kept the cup because I like the logo. Yeah. It's a lion with a crown. Christian-owned, locally owned coffee shop called Manos Coffee. It's over on 2209 Lexington Road. It's between here and Brannon Crossing, and it's closer than Starbucks, and the coffee is way better. So love absolutely. I love supporting local businesses and especially Christian-owned businesses. So Rob, I want to pull up some stuff today and just kind of show you, and just want to get your input when you see this image. Are you ready?
No.
What do you think when you see this image right here?
Oh man. That was when we first decided to do online stuff for the first time at Catalyst.
Yeah, that was the old midweek podcast. We did that for a summer? About?
Yeah, we tried it for a summer.
Tried it for a summer?
With our jobs, youth ministry and like discipleship, small group stuff kind of slowed down. So we tried that for a summer. That was a pain in the butt.
But it was a lot of fun.
Pain in the butt.
I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a good time. I liked it so much I started a live stream 2 years later.
We tried so many different things. And I don't even know if it worked. It was a good intro to like all of this stuff, I guess.
Yeah, it was. We also have one of the funniest videos ever with Elsie Kibler because of that. And
Oh, yeah.
maybe at some point I'll post that on Facebook or something just because it was really, really funny.
You might just want to keep that Catalyst life. You don't want that to go out too far.
Here's another picture I want you to see and see if you remember these days.
Oh, boy.
How about that?
That is, oh, man. That was our first year.
That was our first year.
Because we don't have blinds.
Yep.
On the window. Is that the first thing we did? Did we do that before the drum cage?
I can't remember if we did it before. I know we did it with the lights, and it was all done in 2017, maybe?
Yes. 2017 in July, right before VBS.
Yeah, it was one of those things like when you got here, I can't imagine coming right out of Bible college. You move your wife into a 101-year-old. I think at that point it was a 100-year-old. No, it wasn't even 100. It was 99 years old because it was 100 the next year. So it was a 99-year-old building. You moved in, and your first Sunday you show up, and it's this old building with pink carpet and stained glass that makes everything look yellow on the inside. And I mean, it was something. It was something. Do you remember much from those first few weeks at Catalyst and what you thought and what it was like when you got here? What was it like for you when you first got here?
Well, actually, I want to go before that. So when we came and kind of looked at the space, this is like beginning of interview, or even probably before it was really like I decided like, yeah, we need to come to Catalyst. Before even interviews start, I was in town and I was like, well, I want to come check out your church. And I thought I didn't even know you guys moved. And so I was like, oh, are you guys still behind the books or the boot store? And you said, no, or you have a new location. And I come in and we go through the basement first. And you're like, yeah, this is where the youth's going to meet. And I'm like, cool. It looks a lot different now than it did whenever.
Right.
It wasn't cleaned out. There's just stuff thrown everywhere because you guys had only been there like a couple weeks. Like I came in January.
Yeah, you came, you came right after we moved in. It was like super new.
Oh yeah. So like stuff was still not put away. There's like, it was like moving, like me right now. Like I got stuff all over in this office right now because I just got boxes because we're moving. It felt like that. And I remember looking through that and I was like, this is not what I envisioned for the first ministry. And then we go upstairs and it wasn't that bad actually. Like I didn't think anything of it because like I interned at Broadway Christian Church.
Yeah.
And it looked like it reminded me of no, Daryl, the basement sucks.
Daryl Jordan just said, don't lie, you love that basement.
No, it sucks. The main worship area looks like a mini Broadway, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Just with not as good lighting. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I really actually like that part of it. And it made it feel a little bit more like home because I really enjoyed my time at Broadway. So that actually excited me. Now, whenever we got there, we didn't come at the beginning of the day. So we get there and there's just light coming through one side of the worship space because the other side, because in the morning, the sun's not on the other side of the building yet.
Yeah.
So it's just like.
So one half of the room is like blazing hot in the summer. Man, I remember that because that was the side we sit on. My wife and I would sit on because I'd lead worship and I needed to be able to get up to the stage quickly. And so I was over on that side, and every single Sunday, I remember sweating those first couple summers before we put those blinds in. And then in the wintertime, it didn't matter which side you sat on. It was freezing because there's no, like, I don't think people realize when we put those blinds up, they actually have saved the church money from heating and cooling just by having those blinds in there. And especially on Sunday mornings, man, to not have all of that heat in there, oh my gosh. What do you say here? Me Well, good.
I'm
That's
guessing she remembers.
oh, she goes, haha, it was so hot
Yeah, and
in the sanctuary.
that was before we kept the fans on all the time.
Yeah.
Because we realized, oh, if we keep the fans on, it'll push the air down, like the hot air down.
Yeah.
In the winter, and that helped a lot. What was the reason, that we sit, like, if you're facing the stage from the audience, we sit on the right side.
Yeah.
And the reason we sit on that right side, and we always continued, was because we sat on that left side, and I was like sweating during service, and I was like, this sucks. I hate this. I'm never sitting on this side again. And I think in 6 years we've sat on that side probably twice, and it was probably because of a children's performance, and people took my pew. So I
Took
had
your
to sit
pew.
on that
You're
side.
that 85-year-old lady that she has her pew, and if someone's a visitor and they sit in it, she just stands there and stares at them until they move.
No, I know.
Is that
Yeah.
who you are, Rob?
No, but if somebody took my seat that went to the church, I'd be like, you got to get up. It's my pew. And just see what they say.
Oh, that's funny. That's
But
really
that didn't
funny.
happen. It was mostly like if we had a children's something where like extra family was there and the kids took up the first couple rows, where my seat would be taken. But then we just moved up, and nobody wants to sit in the front row for some reason. So now my seat's never taken.
Well, that's because you moved up where nobody else wants to sit.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
nobody wants to sit in the front row. So I'm good to go.
And it's funny. You would think um, after you get out of school, and high school and college and all that, people wouldn't still be like, I'm going to sit in the back. But everybody still wants to sit in the back. Nobody wants to be up front where they can be seen. So
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Rob. So you come in. For those who don't know, Rob started here in 2015. Rob was our second youth minister that we'd hired at Catalyst. Paul Ross was our first youth minister, and then Paul and Jenny pulled out to do some other stuff. They were going to go into mission work. Things didn't quite work out for them. But Paul has been working for UK now and is now a youth sponsor, which is really cool. But you came in 2015, your first potentially full-time student ministry. I'm going to say it that way. Real quick, I want to throw up here. Josh Taylor said, this is Josh Taylor. We sit up front so nobody takes our spot.
Yep.
I think he thinks like you do.
Yeah.
So Rob, let's talk a little bit about when you first got here. And the only thing when we hired you, we made no promises.
No.
Like there were no promises made for anything. And a lot of people don't know this, but what was it like when you first got here? What was you don't have to give numbers on the pay, but if you want to kind of explain how it worked. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I think I've said it in a sermon before. Oh, I've definitely said it in the sermon. Yeah. So Catalyst. So when I got here, it was a promise. The only promise I got was that I was going to get $150 a week. If I came. And the issue was our apartment was $750. So we're already at a deficit and we haven't even bought groceries. So
and your wife doesn't even have a job lined up.
No, we got nothing. Which obviously God is taking care of us, and we got jobs, and we grinded it out for a little while, and God has taken care of us over the years. But it's the $150, and then it got to the point where Dave, it wasn't excuses that I was giving, but I just couldn't do a lot because he was like, "Hey, we need to do this." And I'm like, "Well, have fun. I can only be here one day a week. Like I have to work." And he's like, "Well, how much do you get paid in your other job?" Or other two jobs. So you all came up with a number. Well, I gave you guys a number of like, this is how much I get at Catalyst. This is how much I get at Gaddytown. And this is how much I do doing like landscape stuff. And Dave's like, "Will you come and work here every day if we pay you that?" And I think at that point it doubled my pay. So I was getting paid
It was $50 a day, is what you told us. You had said
$100. It's $100 a day, 5 days a week.
Was
Is
that what it
basically
was?
Yes.
Okay, I thought for some reason I thought it was like an extra $50 would bring a new day. And so like by the end of it,
Oh,
you were
yes.
getting paid like $350. You're getting like $350 a week to work full time.
Yeah,
that
so it
point.
came out to like $18,500, I think, for the year.
Less than what the average starting salary of a teacher is, and they get summers off. That's
it's half. It's
a
half
lot of
the number of a starting teacher.
right. A lot of people don't know this about youth ministry, but there are churches that when they hire youth ministers, they offer them the same salary as a starting teacher. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but then I had a church, and this was back in 1999. Okay, so this is 21 years ago, 22 years ago. I had a church offer me $21,000 to work full time as their youth minister. And I just said, well, where do you get that number from? They said, well, that's the average starting salary of a teacher. And I went, oh, okay, cool. So I get summers off. And they go, no. I was like, okay, so you're going to prorate. So it'll be 21,000 plus whatever it would be to pay me for the summer. They're like, no. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I got friends who are teachers, and they've told me like a lot of times, I mean, they get summers off, and a lot of times what they do is get a part-time job or something for the summer to make extra cash, because they kind of get like some ones who are parents, maybe not so much, but ones who aren't parents, they would get bored. They're not doing anything for 2 or 3 months, so they would just get like a part-time job or something. But we weren't even paying you what a beginning salary was for a teacher.
No,
when you first started. And
no,
I remember, I just remember many a conversation between the two of us, of okay, where giving is going up. We're seeing a church is growing. We're looking to give you a raise in a couple months. Here's what we're thinking. How does that sound to you? I just remember you and I having a lot of those conversations for the first like 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not 3 years. It was
about 2.5.
No, it wasn't even that. It wasn't like I got that.
It was until 2017. I know that because that's when you took over and did children's.
Yeah, but I didn't get I don't think my pay changed between then.
Yeah, I remember very well about that one. We gave you a raise the day you took over children's.
Yes, but between me becoming full-time 10 months in,
yeah,
and then so a year later.
Yeah.
So it was then I go root minister. I mean, money's not everything, and I realized that over the years. Like,
right.
It really, money doesn't matter that much.
Yeah,
as long as you're doing ministry. And
if you trust, God will provide, and he always has.
Yeah, I have no reason. I think I talked to Dave last week, and he was talking about fundraising and church planning and a salary for a church planner and like all this stuff. And I said, well, I have no reason to believe that God's not going to take care of my family, because he's taken care of my family so far. And he's like, yep, that's true. Definitely has. And
well, I was going to say, I know Dave and I were talking the other day, maybe it might have been just yesterday, just how even for us, it was 11 or 12 years that Catalyst was around before we were getting paid what we were getting paid as youth ministers 11 or 12 years prior to that. Yeah. So, I mean, it was Catalyst is an interesting thing, because anybody who's come on staff, as a matter of fact, the first, this new youth ministry hire, which we're getting closer toward, this first youth ministry hire will be the first time we've hired someone full-time.
Yeah.
Everybody we've hired had to have a side gig of some kind before they could come on, because we're not a wealthy church.
No.
We just are very frugal. We've always been very frugal. We've always been very good about what's most important, put the money into that. And if we can hire people, we'll hire people, but you're going to have to get a job. As hard as it is to say that to somebody coming in, but that was kind of how it's always been for us. So
I always appreciate it, because like when it came to finances, like church finances, it wasn't like, well, you have your budget, you have your budget. It was always, if someone needed to buy something, we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there was times where worship didn't get anything and youth ministry was getting stuff. And there was times where we're like, we're good on youth ministry. And then we poured everything back into worship or children's ministry. And it's like everybody
And
kind of takes their turn.
last year, everything went into tech because
Yep,
we needed to be able to
everything
live stream. And so any extra money we had went straight. I mean, we weren't able to do a lot of stuff with youth and children's at that point because of COVID. But we took that money, we had to put it into something specific. Just the way it worked out. Now, I want to ask you a question that's not money related. I just want to talk to you a little bit about when you first got here. What did your first night of youth group look like?
I remember we didn't have all the kids together.
Yeah.
We had a middle school group and a high school group. Oh, I do remember. Okay, so we had all the middle schoolers show up, and there's just a few of them, and it was fun. It was just like there's like 6 or 7 of them, and we just read the Bible in a very creative way, and then I had them illustrate what we read in the Bible on a whiteboard, and it was hilarious. Like the kids, like obviously terrible at drawing, and we're like starting in the beginning in Genesis. And I just kept the whiteboard.
Let's give everybody an idea of like how long ago this actually was. Who were some of these middle schoolers?
So you had Colby, who is
He just finished his freshman year of college.
So you had Colby Jordan, who was a 8th grader, but I don't even know. I don't think any of them. Nobody else still goes here. None of the other.
You had Elsie. You had Elsie, didn't you?
No, she was a freshman in high school.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she just went into high school. So Colby was like the only one because his brothers were still in elementary school. The Wheatons hadn't come yet, who were their age. Some other people. So like but the thing is Colby was the only boy. It was all girls in Colby.
That's funny. Yeah.
Colby's doing his thing. He was a good sport about it. I know he struggled with it for a little bit, but so I got this whiteboard that I just found. I don't even know where. It was like in the hallway. And we decided that we were going to illustrate the Bible. So like the kids are laughing the whole time because we're illustrating it in a terrible way, like what's happening in Genesis. And the more you go into Genesis, the crazier the stories become. And we had a great time with that. And then we are like, okay, the high school is about to show up. But my high school group consisted of mostly kids that played soccer. And my first youth group day was pitcher day for soccer. So like none of the kids showed up. So I like made a last second decision. So I took them all and we got, what was that? It was called, Yogli Mowgli was the,
yeah. I love that place.
Like, split second decision. I'm going to go take everybody out for ice cream. And we had a blast. Like that's where I met like Missy Willems was there because she dropped off Julie and Robbie and the Dickinsons. And then the Kibblers showed up and we had just like a little powwow. There's probably like 8 of us just kind of hanging around outside talking about youth ministry and getting to know those kids.
Now, was Donovan Gregory here at that point?
No, he didn't come. They didn't come until at the end of summer.
I forgot that Lisa Sarah used to work there.
Yep. Lisa was there that night.
And you really didn't know her all that. I mean, you only knew her from camp. You guys weren't friends like you all are now, but.
No, but I knew Lisa pretty well because I would bother her in the kitchen. I would go and steal cookies whenever they just got out of the oven. And I know it bothered her, but she was too scared to say anything to me. And what's her name? Who's the other cook? what was
Jamie?
the
You
other?
talking about Jamie?
No, Judy. Is it Judy? The other cook at camp. What's her name?
I thought it was Jamie, but I could be wrong.
Is it Jamie?
It's been so
I don't know.
long. Lisa would know.
She was the one. She would always yell at me because I was stealing cookies, and she's like, "You gotta wait like everyone else."
Jody. It's Jody. Jody. There it is.
I told her to be quiet, and I stole cookies. So that was me and Lisa's interaction. And I was in charge of all of her volunteers, so I would yell at them to make sure that they listened to Lisa, and if they didn't, then I was going to send them home. So they listened to Lisa.
That's funny. Oh, we got someone actually watching all the way live from India, South Asia. That's awesome. It's nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you, John.
So, okay, so your first week was kind of disjointed and a little different. A little different. When, like, how long did it take you to get that ministry to where it was your ministry and you weren't trying to keep going something that was there before you?
About 7 months, I think. So, or less than that, whatever. January, it was like 5 months. So January, that's when we flipped everything. So
it's like 7 months.
Well,
6 months.
We started youth group in what, February?
Well, I guess youth group hadn't. I guess youth group technically wasn't happening until the fall, and you were there in the summer.
Yeah. So from the fall till January, the second week in January, we spent all off season, like all of December. Dave let me spend a little bit of money, and I like ransacked the old worship closet. And then you told me all the things you weren't using, and we put together this little like wall in the basement.
Oh, the curtain wall.
No, not the curtain wall. It was the PVC pipe wall.
Yeah.
And it had the big
the banner,
and then the screen in the middle. And it was this massive wall, and it looked awesome. I got this massive screen, and we bought 2 speakers, and we stole the old soundboard. So we had this massive soundboard for one
32 channel soundboard.
And used one channel on it. And we moved it from Wednesday or Sunday night to Wednesday night, and we rebranded it as CSM, and it was no longer C3.
And then we had those homemade box lights made out of filters. Cut myself. This must be your wife. This must be Kaylee talking.
Yeah,
those were ingenious though. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of those. You just keep talking. I'm gonna see if I can't find a picture of those.
Yeah, so those were awesome. Those things made the room kind of look cool.
I thought so.
And yeah, I bet if you, I don't know, on the Cattle's website, I thought the header used to be that photo.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it. You just keep on talking.
So we were like, all right, we have like little money. Let's figure this out. So we created this wall, and I was like in the basement spray painting these PVC pipes. Like I would get done with Gaddytown and convince my wife to let me drive into Nicholasville and paint these things. And it just like made the whole like worship space smell spray paint, and it was awful. And I start feeling funny in the basement, spray painting these things. But we did that for a season, and the reason we did that was because we didn't own that building, and everything that we did had to be torn down within like minutes. Like if we couldn't set it up in 30 minutes, then it wasn't good enough. Because randomly we would have things pop up at the church, and we had to tear it down. So we had to not only tear it down, but fit it in a little closet.
Yep. And here's what it looked. This looks really cool. Like I'm just looking at it now. That looked really cool, man. Like those square lights in the backdrop. Those are the ones you guys made by hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just the basics. That's pretty awesome, man. I remember we made that big banner. You and I sat down. We're like, okay, we need a logo for children's ministry. So
for youth ministry.
yeah. Well, it was youth and children. So if you remember, we could flip it so children's could use it when they were doing their thing.
Yeah, because the children's for a little while, they used the basement for like worship. I don't really know. Actually, I never went down there and watched what they did, but they had like worship down there and like some teaching.
Yeah.
And that was an idea that we tried to do because that children's building, look at that.
How crazy is that, man?
Look at all those little kids. Look how small they are. There's Donovan. Look at the one at the beanie.
Was that Donovan Gregory right there?
That's Donovan, yeah.
Wow.
And then Elsie's in the front, right?
Yep. There's Casey in the front too. It looks like Casey Kibler.
And yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so that was so right when we flipped that, our youth group numbers really kind of exploded. And they're like, well, why are you switching it from Sunday to Wednesday? And I said, it's because you can't go on vacation on Wednesday.
Yeah, I remember that because we talked about that a lot. How like Sundays would come and there'd be families to be on vacation or do a weekend trip, and they would always come back late and they wouldn't be there for youth group,
or they were tired or whatever. You know, they would always use the excuse of, well, we went on vacation, and there was no spiritual reason for me switching. That was the reason. I could look at my parents and I'm like, well, you can't go on vacation on a Wednesday because you have to work on Thursday.
Right. It's so funny, man, because I remember us talking and you were just like, I don't want to do Sunday nights anymore.
No.
And I was like, why don't you want to do Sundays? And you were just like, everybody's gone.
Yeah.
Like everybody's gone. And you were so frustrated by it. And I just remember just you going, people can't go vacation on Wednesdays. We need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull up another picture here. I want you to look at. I want you to tell us what this is a picture of. Because I think this was also something that was pretty formative for your youth group.
Oh, yeah. TCTC.
Yep. TCTC.
Look at those young. So that was TCTC. This was the most memorable TCTC, but my least favorite TCTC.
Why was that?
Personally. So this was the first time we did a cabin at TCTC. So we got this cabin, the top of this hill. And like when you rent a cabin, it's probably a little better now, but when you rent a cabin, you can't tell the elevation of the cabin. Like, what is the road you have to take to get to this cabin? It's like impossible to tell unless you live down there.
Right.
So I got a great deal on this cabin. They just redid it. It was beautiful. And normally at TCTC, I've been at TCTC for a long time, and it had only snowed once ever that I've been at TCTC. This was my 6th year going to TCTC.
Right.
Like, it's only snowed once and that bad. Like, so we're driving down there and we get this warning that it's gonna snow, but it didn't really give, like, it just said it might be bad.
Yeah.
And we get to this cabin and the hill is so steep to get to the cabin that you couldn't drive a car up there. Like, no snow, like, it's just dry. Like, it's so steep that I couldn't get my car up the hill. So we parked at the bottom of the hill and walked up the driveway, which is like, I mean, it is flat straight up. And we come back down and we go to the session, and it's starting to flurry a little bit. So we get to, actually, no, it's like already snowed. Like, we go in the session, there's no snow coming out of the session, an hour and a half later, and there's like 4 inches on the ground. So we're slipping and sliding back up the hill, and there's another hill before we got to the steep hill. I couldn't even make it up the first hill. So we parked at the bottom of this hill, and there's like 4 of the youth groups that had to do this, and we're all walking up in the snow. Like you had to walk like a half a mile up the hill in the snow. and the kids are laughing, throwing snowballs at each other. It's pitch black on the top of this hill, and it's snow coming down in the moonlight. So it's really beautiful. We all go to sleep. We wake up the next morning. There's 2 feet of snow.
Well, can
on the
I
ground.
show everybody the accommodations though? Because I think this is pretty impressive. These are pictures from the inside of the cabin. Right here.
This is yeah.
Yeah, I did my research, bro. I did my research. Check this out. I mean, this is nice. This is some nice stuff. I mean, you guys weren't now. Who slept in that bed? That looks like for like a married couple.
Yeah, Kelly and I slept in that bed.
Yeah, you guys were pampered that weekend. That's nice. And then you guys had foosball and a pool table.
That was.
It looks like there's a video game back in the back.
Yep.
So basically, what you guys did was just kind of hung out in a cabin for the weekend, right?
Yeah. So we missed all the sessions. So we got to go to the first one and the last one. The first session and the last session. We missed all the spiritual stuff for the entire weekend.
That's so funny, man.
I, for some reason, had this weird feeling like, hey, let's just get some extra food, like some pizzas and extra breakfast stuff, just in case something happens. So we stop and we get like 5 pizzas and like extra milk and stuff. And but thank goodness we did that, because it was we were stuck in the cabin. We had no, and I'm not freaking out, but I'm starting to get irritated because me and my wife are stuck in this cabin with 14 high schoolers, and they're starting to drive me insane. And they're like, when are we going to leave? I'm like, start walking. You figure it out. I'll see you in a little bit. Oh, it was bad.
But at the same time, everybody who came back from that had the best time of their lives. And I would say, at least from an outsider looking in, I would say that was when your youth group started to get an identity.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, like I said, that's outsider looking in, but that's when I feel like we were actually starting to see the youth group get an identity, where it was like, okay, this is Rob's group. And I at least, like I said, this is outsider looking in kind of stuff, you know? But it seemed like when you came back, there was just a different feel, you know?
Yeah.
Just a whole different feel to the youth group. It seemed like the connection was really starting to hit at that point. Oh, yeah, and slide down the mountain with my son.
Yeah. So side story with that, real quick with that story. So we're at, so I got the van. We had this old nasty van, and I got it up the first hill, and we wake up next morning. There's 2 feet on the ground, and I'm like getting cabin fever. I'm like, we have to get out of this cabin. So I convinced Colby and Elsie to come in the van with me, and we'll help shovel it out, and then slide. I mean, this hill is like a quarter mile long, and slide down the hill in the van. So I start going down, and I just hold down the brakes, and we slide all the way down. And
that's
Colby's
crazy.
like, Colby's like, why did you ask me? I was like, well, your dad's an elder, and if we wrecked the van, it wouldn't have hurt anybody, because we were going like 5 miles, like this, sliding this slowly. And if we hit a tree, like it probably wouldn't even do any damage to the vehicle. We would just be stuck. Like that's how slow we were going. And I was like, well, if we get in a wreck, your dad said that I can tell you what to do, so I don't think he'll get mad at me if we get in a wreck. So
better to ask for forgiveness and permission.
Kaylee sent me a photo of the snow, so I don't know if I can.
Well, shoot that to me. Just text it to me real quick, and I will. I'll get it up there. But yeah, I remember just talking to a lot of the students when they got back from that, and they were just grinning from ear to ear. It was the best time ever, and it was just one of those things. I think that was a good moment for your ministry. I think that was one of those moments where, I don't know. I just think it was good at that point, you know, not that it was ever bad, but it was just even better. You know what I mean? Just like it took it to the
Oh,
next
yeah.
level for you guys.
Yeah, TCTC was always one of those things that it was the joking that Rob hates TCTC. And then whenever that
I
happened,
remember
it's like,
that.
okay, Rob
Yes.
really does hate TCTC. And but TCTC was always our best event. If there's a volunteer that was very uneasy about youth group, like they liked it, but they didn't really see the purpose of it, I always took them to TCTC because it showed like a bunch of students is worshiping God in one spot, like 5,000 students worshiping God, and it
Yeah.
always changed the perspective on youth ministry. And so that was always good. Oh yeah, this mountain. Once you pull it up, it's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, I have to change the file format as we're talking here because
Oh, yeah.
it's that fancy Apple format that you can't open in this program. So, but I'm gonna do it now because these are pretty awesome to look at. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see.
This photo, man.
Let's open these up real quick.
I think it does a
So,
decent justice on that
what's
photo.
that?
I think it does
Oh,
it kind of makes it.
yeah. I mean, look at you
That's
can't even
one
see
photo.
the road. You can't even see the road.
Oh no. So that's not even the steep part of it.
So the kids had to
that's not-
carry. So the kids carried their suitcases
Yeah,
all
so
the
this
way
was
down that.
yeah, so this is like when we okay, yeah, this one. So you see how
Wow.
steep it was, and then you see where the road's clear at the bottom.
Yeah.
There was another like quarter mile down another steep hill where our vehicle, like you don't see our vehicle, so they're only halfway. The kids at the bottom are only halfway down where they need to go.
That's just crazy, man.
It was
That's
ridiculous.
just crazy. Now, I want to go ahead and pull up another picture and I want to fast forward a year or two. And I want to show something else that I think was the next thing that kind of flipped another switch for you guys. And that's this picture right here.
Yeah.
Do you know where that is, Rob?
Is that Laguna?
That is Laguna Beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the infamous oh, wait a second. We got a comment here that's great. Let me pull this comment up real quick. It says it was a huge bonding experience for all of us. Most of us remember it fondly, unlike Rob. Levi Wheaton and I talked about the trip a few weeks ago. Actually, I don't know who you are,
That's
but
my
let
wife.
us know who you are. That's your wife still?
Yeah, I think that's still my wife.
Okay, very cool. But I mean, there's that, and then you can see all the kids. I mean, this is where we'd have all of our meals and everything.
Oh yeah.
What was Beach Week like, and what brought that about, and how did that kind of move another level up for you guys?
Yeah, so I started partnering more with Andrew Dawson, who's at Jessamine Christian Church, and they had done like their own week of camp. Their weeks of camp in the summer hadn't really been fulfilling the needs of their students, I guess. Like there's kind of like this gap, and like obviously there's a great one like CLY. Like we're taking our students to CLY. They do a great job. But the price of CLY was just a little too much for kids in Nicholsville. And so we're like, well, I wonder if we can do something that will suit our needs of our students and we can make it cheaper.
Yeah, here's what I'm gonna pull something up while you're talking about that. This was Daryl Jordan sent me this, but this is what you guys did before.
Oh, yeah.
Summer in the
So
Sun.
that was summer. Was that our first summer? Yeah, that was our first summer in the sun.
Crazy.
So that was like what, 3 weeks after I got hired.
Gosh, look at that.
Hopefully Casey and Elsie and Julia hate this photo, so hopefully they don't. Julia almost took my phone and deleted this photo because she hates it so much.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that was a good trip, getting to know my students a little bit more, getting to know Casey, and because she was a junior, getting to know the freshmen as well was a lot of fun. And so the beach, we decided to do the beach. Drew found this just really cheap place that just loved kids coming down for camp. And
which was funny because Dave and I had both spent weeks there with our kids years before that.
Yeah. So it was great. We heard good things from you guys, so like, oh, let's just book it. And the one cool thing about our partnership is Jesmond Christian finances were really great, and they had great volunteers. But one thing Catalyst has is we do have good musicians and great volunteers. So it was a good pairing of we can get all the talent that we need for this event and not have to outsource, which helps out with headaches and making sure everybody shows up. We don't have anybody cancel on us in the last minute. And a lot of the things that you would have to deal with at camps, we just didn't have to deal with because we had two talented churches coming together to love on these kids for a week. So we convinced you to come down with your family. We got Shane and Emily and Ian, all to come down for this week of camp. And we did an awesome worship set. Drew and I taught the whole thing, and our kids still talk about it to this day.
Well, I was going to say, I know for me, it was cool to see you and Drew in action. And what a lot of people probably on here don't realize is Drew was in my youth group when I was a youth minister in Cynthiana. He was one of my middle schoolers. And so seeing you, who was one of my campers at Bluegrass, and Drew, who was one of my students up in Cynthiana, working together and just knocking it out of the park was so cool. Like, it was just one of those moments. I know, I mean, it was almost like a proud papa moment, even though like I'm not either one of your dads, but like it was just one of those things of like, man, look at these guys. I remember being so proud of you two and just the work you had done with that. And just seeing how positively it affected the kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it was a win. I do. I thought those 2 years we did 2 years we did it. And unfortunately the third year got botched because of COVID. We had baptisms, we had kids get to engage, get to know each other better. The reason that we wanted to do camp so much was for two reasons. One, you get to know other Christians that live in your town. And two, there's people that you go to school with that you didn't know were Christians as well.
Yeah.
And so there's kids that met each other on this week because they go to the same high school or live in the same town, but now they have more common ground because they're not alone as Christians in their high schools and middle schools.
Right.
And that was why we did it. And I think it benefited. We had people gain friendships over it, and that's when Drew and I started sharing students a lot. Like there was a big handful of students that would come to both Catalyst and Jesmond, so they kind of like got double discipled, and it was like huge benefit because of that. And some of those kids that did both will do ministry in the future and be huge impacts in the churches.
Well, and I want to show one more picture, and I think this picture sums up what I think sums up the last 6 years of your ministry. And it's this one right here. This was your last. This was your last youth group, and every year you pray for your seniors. And just to see this huge group of students around each other with their leaders, laying hands on someone and just praying for them and their future is pretty awesome. This isn't a thing that's about flash. This isn't about, I don't want to say, I guess I want to say it's not about high energy fun. It's just about, we're going to pray for each other.
Yeah.
And what an awesome picture. What an awesome picture to show as your last action as a youth minister to church. When you look at that, what does that make you think?
I always love that moment. We've done it every year except for last year because of COVID. And that last youth group, I always encourage my previous students, especially like the younger ones, like freshmen in college, to come back and just kind of love on these students for this one day. And I always like it because the students that are there get to see the college students, and they're like, oh, they still go to church. Like, it doesn't stop when
Yeah.
youth group stops, when they graduate, and then they get to turn around and pray over the next high schoolers that are graduating. And this was probably our lowest graduating class. We didn't have we only had 2 seniors,
Yeah.
but they're awesome kids, and they're going to be leaders in their church when they. I mean, it's slightly already leaders, already volunteering in church and taking initiative, and they got good parents. So it's just cool to finish the year out that way. It puts it back on the parent. It puts it back on the students, and to show it really is about them. It's not about what I've done over the past 6 years, not about what the volunteers have done over the years of volunteering. It's really about what these students can accomplish together, and it has
Right.
to be centered around Christ and prayer.
Well, and one of the things I've always said is a testament to a ministry is how many students go into ministry out of a ministry. And
Yeah.
we've got 2 guys right now. I know Donovan Gregory is wanting to study to go into youth ministry right now, and actually is actively pursuing that.
Yep.
And we've got Colby Jordan, who's wanting to do tech ministry within the church, and
Yep.
who is actually coming in on Thursdays and working with me. And then he's also doing an internship with Southland to
Yep. Yeah.
to get to where he can be full time working in tech ministry within the church. And
Yeah.
that's awesome seeing those guys come out of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I think is pretty amazing, and I'm going to toot your own horn because you're not good at tooting your own horn, but I will toot your horn for you. You've got students who have left, like graduated, not left the church, but left Catalyst to go to live where their colleges are and everything, and they still go to church every Sunday. They're
Yep.
still getting involved. That's a testament, man. That's really showing some great leadership on your part. And I feel sorry for the new guy because he's got a lot to live up to. You know, he's got a lot to live up to.
I don't know about that. I do know that Catalyst and raising kids in Catalyst is a good thing, because they're very much part of the church. And if I did the same thing in another church, it would not have been as successful, because there wasn't the 2 leaders up at the top willing to engage the students every single week. So you got plugging them in volunteers, and they can volunteer in children's ministry, they can volunteer in tech ministry. They can be the people who, like, they first see whenever they come in. People come into Catalyst. We even had middle school. We have a middle schooler right now that sings on stage, like on a Sunday morning, and we have high schoolers that play music on stage and have sung on that stage. When they
I've got
start, like,
several that volunteer with me in the tech. I mean, a
that's what I
large
mean.
portion of our tech ministry is students.
Exactly. It's like, it would not have been successful in any other church, and that's because the leadership of Catalyst really does care about student ministry,
Yeah.
and we believe it's the most important ministry. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Daryl Jordan want to say, yeah, I guess Rob did okay. Seriously, though, we will miss you, but we know Elevate will do great kingdom work. And I agree with that 100%. April Price asks, who's the new guy? We don't know yet. We're interviewing. I've already had 3 interviews, and I'm having another interview this next week. We just want to make sure we get the right guy. Kaylee says, our youth volunteers made our ministry what it was. We are so thankful for them, and so many are joining us at Elevate, which is really cool too. And this is something I want to kind of end with. I want you to, we got about 3 or 4 minutes here. Tell us where Elevate is, what's going on, what your needs are, how people can help. And I'll throw your website up here so people can see it. So
Yeah.
just fill us in on everything.
So right now, we found a location. So Elevate Christian Church is the church we're going to plant. It starts on September 12th. We're going to do some pre-services starting August 8th. And we're going to do pre-services to September 12th, and then we'll have our launch month then. We're going to be meeting at Lexington Christian Academy. in their chapel worship space. They want to partner with church plants. They believe that Jesus should be at LCA every single week or every single day of the week. And one of the days that it's not normally in LCA is because everybody goes to church on Sunday, and they haven't had a church in their building worshiping Jesus on Sunday. So they really desire for that. So we're just that next, hopefully the next of many churches that are going to be able to meet at LCA. Great partnership there. If you want to be involved, there's a couple ways that you can do that. You can decide to come with us to plant, be on our plant team, worship with us every single Sunday, and be a part of reaching people or elevating people for Christ in Lexington. The other way you can do it is you can pray for us, actively praying that God is going to go before us and make sure that we reach as many people in Lexington. And the third way that you can help is you can financially support us to make sure that ministry is funded at this church. And you can do that at our website at elevatelex.church. We use the same giving software as Catalyst, so it should be familiar for those who actively give at Catalyst as well. So that's where we're at. It's going to be good. We're excited. We got a good group of people so far, and I can't wait to see the other people that God brings us on the way to make sure we reach as many people in South Lexington as we can.
Absolutely. And this Sunday is Elevate Sunday at Catalyst. Rob's going to be the one preaching, and the Elevate team will be leading worship along with some people from Catalyst. When you look up on stage, not everybody who's on that stage is going to Elevate, but several of those people are.
Yep.
Our offering this Sunday is all going to Elevate. God has blessed us. This has always been our plan. Like Rob can tell you, this has always been our plan to this Sunday to give the offering to Elevate. And God has blessed Catalyst in such a way that even if we don't collect an offering this next week for Catalyst, we are still on budget for the year. So God has done some really cool stuff preparing the church and Rob for this week. And so please give to help out Elevate. And then we're going to end the service with a prayer time. Wally Rendell, who was the founding minister of Southern Acres Christian Church and who has been a huge part of the Restoration Movement Church here in Central Kentucky and the United States, is going to be here Sunday to kind of send off the church and to celebrate them and pray for them. So that's going to be a big celebration. There's going to be a big celebration at the end of the service for that. And then afterwards, like we already said, we're going to do a big potluck dinner just to say thank you. If you've got cards or gifts or anything that you want to give to Rob and Kaylee, we're going to have a section on the front of the stage where you can set those things on there Sunday morning. And if you're from out of town and you're coming, you need to bring a crock pot or something, we will have some crock pot or some spaces available in the basement where you can plug a crock pot in. The only thing we ask is if you live in town, please don't, because we don't have that much power. It's a 106-year-old building. So 105, 106-year-old building.
Yep.
So just if you live in town, you'll have plenty of time after the service to go home, grab it, and come back. But if you don't live in town, you live 20, 30 minutes away or whatever, you can bring your food and leave it in the basement for the worship or for the potluck afterwards. Rob, this has been a fun 6 years.
Yep.
It has been a fun 6 years, and you are about to have a fun lifetime with Elevate. And so we'll be praying for you, and we're excited for you. And it is now time to close this thing out so people can get back to work. So for myself and for Rob, we'll see you guys later. And Rob, you're stuck with me for 3 or 4 more days. We'll see you guys later.